Good morning. Today is Wednesday, February 9th at approximately 10:07 a.m. And this is the meeting of the Streets, Traffic and Refuse Committee meeting for the Board of Aldermen. It is called to order. And Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Boyd.
Present.
Alderman Vaccaro.
Present.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Present.
Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Martin. Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Present.
Alderwoman Pihl. Chairwoman Tyus.
Present.
5 present, you have quorum.
Thank you. The next order of business is the approval of minutes. I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes of Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022.
So moved.
I move we approve.
Second.
Okay, wait a minute, I heard. Did you get, who was the motion?
Alderman
Randy.
Vaccaro and Alderwoman Boyd seconded.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022. And I think I saw Alderman Bosley was just on. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
I'm here.
Alderman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Bosley.
Aye.
Alderwoman Martin. Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Pihl. Chairwoman Tyus.
Aye.
6 aye votes.
Thank you. We actually have the first board bill. We have 2 people here who are going to speak regarding this bill. Board bill number 1 is board bill number 126 is introduced by Alderwoman Pihl and Alderwoman Shameem Hubbard. But before we get started with it, I would like to acknowledge the 2 people that are here to speak, and also we need to swear them in. You have to do an oath now, and that is June Fowler and Robert Blainer. I see Robert Blainer. I'm looking for. Oh, hi June. How you doing? Okay, so if both of you all would raise your hand, and you can swear or affirm depending on what you do, because I'll ask for both of them. I have to swear you in for your testimony. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. June Fowler's family goes way back. I know them for a very long time. In fact, her husband is the reason I'm an attorney. We used to work at St. Louis University together. He used to work in personnel, and I worked in the comptroller's office, and then I went to the registrar's office. And he is the person that St. Louis University wasn't doing anything that was quite right. And he came to me, and I was quite young, and said, "They're not doing you right," and walked me through the steps of how to fight back. And that was the beginning of Sharon Tyus fighting back. So you always have this circle. I told you a few weeks ago about me helping Hope Whitehead and 18 other Black students go through WashU and not have to have a debt. But June Fowler's family, Flint Fowler, is the one that really stood up for me. And I've been friends with the rest of his mother. Marie was a mentor to me. His aunt, Norma Leggett, was a mentor. June is a good friend. So I'm just honored to be here. And as a Black woman, I'm honored regarding this bill. I want to say Helen Nash was a force to be dealt with in the city of St. Louis. You all, if you don't know, you need to look up and find out more about her. The Nash family was a force to be dealt with. It's not just Helen, but for her to come forth when she did and to stand up and to do the accomplishments she did, that's an honor for me to have known her. My family, the family I married into, knew her for a very long time. And when you are the first woman to do anything, it's always so hard. The first to anything is hard. The first woman, the first Black woman, that's hard. And so she and her family did everything they did with dignity. And so I'm really honored. And I'm going to tell you right now, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, I'm going to ask that everybody on the committee that wants to will put their name on it. I just am so honored that this is being brought forth. So just wanted to say that before we get started. She wasn't my doctor because I didn't grow up in St. Louis, but the minute I landed here and started coming to St. Louis, when I met my husband and his family in '75, I heard about the Nash family. I knew where their medical offices were. And so it's just so important. We as women, a lot of times we take stuff that's happening now for granted. And we shouldn't. And this moment of Black history, I'll tell you, when I came here, whether you want to be called Alderwoman or Alderman, we couldn't be called anything but Alderman. I absolutely rejected that and fought that for like 6 or 7 years so that we could be called what we wanted to be called. And finally got Stephen Conway to agree to change the rules because he said, well, Aldermen and Alderwomen are the same. I said, well, let's just call this the Board of Alderwomen. And he said, okay, Alderwoman, we're going to change you. You can be called what you what you want to. Okay, so if everything's the same, then we can just change it to the Board of Alderwomen. We've never had that. We get rid of this Alderman. And so people think that that's small gains, but the whole gain is to realize that women are leaders and that we do amazing things. And this is Black History Month, but next month is Women's History Month. And so it's just so important to recognize these gains. And even as you take them for granted and keep shattering that glass ceiling and keep shattering, that we always remember to recognize those who went before us and made that possible. And June Fowler does that over at Barnes Hospital. She just does it in a quiet way, whether you may not know it or not, but she does it in a quiet way and she makes sure that things happen. And so I just want to honor her too for being here. And Mr. Blaine, I don't know you, but I do know June and her family. And so I'm on this women's kick, so don't feel left out. I like the men too, but it is just a honor to have both of you all here. And at this time, I would like to have the Alderwoman from the 26th Ward step forth, and you are recognized to handle Board Bill 126.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I really don't know how I'm gonna come behind that. I'm so excited. I was already excited. I woke up excited. I went to sleep excited. Like Alderwoman Taya said, Madam Chairwoman, Dr. Nash was amazing. She was my father's doctor. She was my doctor, and then she became my client. And so I had I was scared of her as a child, right? Because I was getting shots and all that. So, you go into the doctor, you're getting shots right there on Grand, scared to go to the doctor. Anytime my mother would pull up. But then as an adult, when she became my client, we had the most amazing relationship. And I cherished that relationship, and I cherished the family. We grew up at All Saints Episcopal Church on Terry and Kings Highway with the Nash family, talking about Black history and talking about Black History Month. I'm just so honored to be able to share and introducing this with Alderwoman Pihl today. So I'm asking if our clerk, Ms. Clerk Rogers, will read this read this bill, Board Bill 126, and read the comments that the Nash family submitted as well.
Okay, the first thing we want her to do is read the introduction to the board bill, and then she'll read the comments that they submitted.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Board Bill 126, introduced by Alderwoman Tina Pihl and Alderwoman Shameem Hubbard. This board bill is recommended by the Planning Commission. It approves the remaining of the entire length of a public street in the city of St. Louis, Children's Place, extending between Euclid Avenue on the west of Taylor Avenue on the east, to be renamed to Nash Way to celebrate the accomplishment and cultural impact of Dr. Helen Nash on the St. Louis region.
Okay.
February the 3rd is National Women Physicians Day. This day marks the 201st day of Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell, the first woman to receive a medical degree in the United States in 1849. Dr. Blackwell proved everyone wrong with her intellectual inferiority and initiated the movement that helped women gain entry and equality in the field of medicine. On this day, we also recognize another female physician. Dr. Helen Nash was a pediatric known for breaking racial and gender barriers in the medical field. She began an internship at Homer G. Phillips Hospital, the only hospital in St. Louis to open to African-American doctors. She also completed her pediatric residency there and became a chief resident with the help of her mentor, Dr. Park J. White. She and Dr. White worked to improve the overall hygiene and equipment quality at the hospital, which reduced the infant mortality rate. For instance, they managed to implement more incubators and hand washing facilities. In 1949, Dr. Nash started her own private practice in St. Louis. That same year, she became the first African-American woman to join the staff at St. Louis Children's Hospital. She became president of the staff in 1977, a position she held until 1979. Also in 1949, Dr. Nash became the first African-American woman to join the Washington University School of Medical Staff, where she served as a professor of clinical pediatrics. She retired as a professor in 1993 and went on to serve as the school's dean of minority affairs from 1994 to 1996. Among Dr. Nash's many accomplishments, she was a leader in child abuse prevention services, advocating that physicians report mistreatment by parents or caretakers. She also helped convince City Hall politicians to fight lead poisoning and rat bites, once common among St. Louis children. Dr. Nash died in 2012 in Creve Coeur. She was 91 and a longtime St. Louis resident. Her husband, James B. Abernathy, is buried here in Bellefonte Cemetery in St. Louis. Dr. Nash was cremated, but the Abernathy-Nash headstone serves as a cenotaph. Cenotaphs are memorials placed with no interment and serve as a place for family and friends to visit in remembrance.
Thank you. Okay, Alderwoman Clark, you are here free to present Board Bill 126, and then we'll have your speakers speak.
Thank you so much. Again, thank you so much. It's just a little bit overwhelming to be here in 2022 and have an opportunity to where your policy can meet your purpose and your passion, and know the person that you're doing this in honor of, and the spirit that you're doing this in honor of, the family that you're doing this in honor of is amazing. And I thank God for it. And with that, I would ask my colleagues for a favorable consideration and do pass recommendation on Board Bill 126.
All right. And who's going to speak first, Ms. Fowler or Mr. Blainer? Okay, you're free to speak.
Thank you, Chairman Tyus, and thanks to all the members of the Board of Aldermen who are here this morning. I actually am going to speak on behalf of myself and Robert Blaine. Robert is with the Washington University School of Medicine, and I have to tell you, this has been a labor of love for both of us. Children's Place, the part of the street we will be renaming, sits in the heart of the medical center campus. And when we think of Helen Nash, we think of heart. When we think of her brother, Homer Nash, and Alderwoman Hubbard, the Nash girls who you went to church with at All Saints, our friends, the Nash girls, the daughters of Homer, the nieces of Helen Nash, they are thrilled that the board and the medical campus would consider renaming that section of the heart of the campus, St. Louis Children's Place, in honor of Helen Nash, and by extension, also her brother. It is quite appropriate that this meeting is happening during Black History Month and in advance of Women's History Month. We look forward to a favorable recommendation. The Planning Commission has recommended approval. For those of you who have not been on the campus lately, this section of Children's Place ends in a cul-de-sac that serves the medical campus. And it is where people actually pull in if they want to get to the Central West End Metrolink station, the busiest station on the line. And by having it named Nash Way, it becomes clear that you can't take Children's Place from Kings Highway and get all the way to this part of the campus. Long ago and far away, it was a continuing street. Our campus continues to grow and be improved. And so it is now separated by what is Euclid Avenue. And actually, there is no Euclid Avenue along this part. It's actually a pavilion. We're trying to make the campus much more walkable so all of us can lose 40 pounds like Alderwoman. I'm like, I'm gonna call you. It's like I have been struggling with the COVID-19 since we were working virtually, but that's a whole nother story. So again, we are just honored. We think it will help with wayfinding, but more important than wayfinding is to recognize a woman and her brother who meant so much to this community and who helped us at the medical school and at the hospitals along our journey of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So with that, Robert and I are happy to answer any questions. I know that in talking to Alderwoman Pihl, if this is approved, we are planning a celebration in the spring when this street actually gets renamed, and we will certainly invite the entire board. So happy to answer any questions.
All right. I first want to just add something before I ask anybody, the members of the committee. This is a street renaming. Normally, we're just doing honorary streets. Back when I was a new person, back in the Stone Age, back in the 90s, we actually changed how you had to rename streets because people were renaming a lot of them. So it made it a much more arduous procedure that you had to do. Honorary is pretty easy. You put a name up there, you keep the street name, but we actually are changing the street name. So it has to go through the planning commission. It has to be put out to let people make comments about it. It has to be put out for notice. There's a strict requirement for it. So this is very seldomly done anymore since we have the honorary renaming. So this is big deal, and that it's in the heart of the WashU campus. Although pretty soon I'm going to say, even though I'm a graduate of WashU School of Law, that we're going to call this the city of WashU, and then we just kind of live in it. Because if any of you have not gone over there, go from Kings Highway to, I want to say Boyle, or not, even further, maybe it's Boyle, and then go from Forest Parkway over to Manchester or thereabout, and just walk around in there and look at that campus that's up in there. And then my doctor's over there, what used to be, so the checkerboard square arena, and then WashU has a position over there. And of course, the fabulous campus, which I'm kind of a little bit prejudiced since I graduated from there. Although I didn't graduate from the fabulous law school that they have now, the Bush, I went to the Mud Center. But anyway, it is fabulous. The whole WashU Barnes complex up in there is fabulous. And you should go up in there and see everything that's going on. And it is an honor that we actually are changing the name, not just honorary. With that, I would ask the committee if they have any questions. I'll start with my vice chair, Alderman Bosley. Do you have any questions of the?
I don't, no, ma'am. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Comments, anything?
I do, yeah, absolutely. So Dr. Helen Nash was my doctor growing up. We used to have a whole lot of conversations. What's interesting is when you meet people as a child and you watch them age as they tell you you're getting older, and you see them also aging at the same time and encouraging you. So I wanted to go into pediatrics because of Dr. Helen Nash. He actually went to school for it, ended up doing something else, choosing a different route for school. But he spoke to me every single time, and he knew your name. He knew what children he had, which was, as you grow up, you look at all of these different individuals who also had access to them, and he said, how do you know all of these names and remember all of these kids? So, he was an inspiration for me because that was the first doctor that I'd ever seen in my life growing up. And he was, always very caring. He was nice. His wife, Helen Nash, was also my doctor after Dr. Helen Nash wasn't, and I hope I got that right. That was his wife, right?
His daughter. His daughter.
No, that was his who?
It's his daughter.
Oh man, I'm sorry. Helen Nash. So look, when you're young, you just think of Nash. So Dr. Helen Nash also was my doctor, also, who also was and is an amazing woman. So that family definitely has been a part of realistically healing our community since as known as I can remember. We go out here and we fight and do things every single day, but they ensure every day that our community is healthy enough to fight. So, that is, that history and that legacy is amazing. And I'm grateful to be here to be able to honor the Nashes And, you know, I would hope one day at some point in time in the near future, we open up another hospital called the Nashes or something that, you know, that wears your name, just like we have, you know, the Homer G. Phillips Hospital, but it needs to be something that we own, you know, just being real, you know, we got to get back to that sense of community healing. And, you know, you all were a part of that healing. So I appreciate you all giving us that experience, giving me as a youngin' that experience also growing up. So, you know, wouldn't have never seen, that's crazy. Home and Nash. All right. Thank you all so much. I appreciate your family. You all are amazing people.
Thank you. Alderman Boyd, question or comment?
I just have a comment. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everybody. Always good to see Miss June Fowler. Had a lot of great interactions with her, a true professional. My son, doctor, was Helen Nash. So I bet Helen Nash probably served at least half the African Americans on this board in some kind of way. But just put me down as a co-sponsor. Really appreciate it, and what an honor.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Vaccaro, comment or question?
Got a little bit of a comment. I would, and I don't know if it's appropriate to do it now, but I think we should take and do this in bank, because I'm going to add my name. We're going to go down the list. We're all going to say the same thing. If you accept the motion, I'd like the motion that we do send this not only out with the due pass, but we do it in bank.
And when we get to that, we'll let you do that motion, okay?
Okay, that's my only comment.
All right, Alderwoman Boyd.
Miss Fowler, I've never met you. I've met your husband, Flint, though. Me and him have talked continuously, but it's ironic how people touch your lives, as Alderwoman Hubbard said. And when my son was born, which was a long time ago, it was over 50 years ago. And so back then, the hospital was Homer G. Phillips Hospital. And my son, when he was born, he was a preemie and he weighed 3 pounds and 14 ounces. In those days, it was unheard of that a baby would survive. And I had an old lady scare me to death because I was a young girl. And she was like, well, you know, that's why you carry him 9 months. So he was born on an even month. He's not gonna make it. And I was just petrified. And they couldn't find out, you know, what was going on with him. It was like his weight was so little. And back then they actually put kids in incubators. And they had them, it was like a vault to me. And so what they did was they put them in the incubators, and we came over there, because I would come every day, and I came over there and the door was open and I was freaking. And this little lady came up to me. I didn't even know she was the doctor. And she said, what is wrong? And I was like, his door open, somebody's in there, they messed with my baby. And she said, no. She said, he kicked the door open. She said, that's a sign. He needs to get out of there. She said, he's ready to get out of there. So they couldn't find out what was wrong with him for a long time. It was months. The formula wouldn't work. We were doing everything. The same lady came back, and it was Dr. Helen Nash. And she said, and I thought she was crazy, really, because she said, it was real cold. We had a snow like we do now. She said, sit outside with him and wrap him up and just rock him, because he couldn't quit crying. He just kept crying. And she said, it's going to open his lungs up. And she explained, she walked me through, a young girl walked me through what to do with this little baby that was, his head was in my hand and his feet was in my elbow, and I didn't know what to do with him. And she said, this is what you do. She took care of my son. He had a heart murmur, and she took care of him. And now he's 6'2" and 200 and something pounds. I didn't have any more problem, but she walked me through and said, for a year, you're going to struggle because his body has not developed yet. And so I always honored her. So she took care of all my children. And I always thought she was, I'm sorry, I'm about to cry. I always thought she was just a super doctor, because as Brandon said, she cares so much for our kids. So thank you all for allowing us to have her when we did. Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Thank you so much. Wow, these stories are incredible, and I really appreciate everyone sharing them. I'm just sitting over here wondering what else we could name after this person. She seems like change the name of the city, hospital, what else? Let's keep going. So thank you so much for sharing these stories, and I will absolutely be supporting the motion to make this in bank. Thank you very much.
Okay. Alderwoman Evans, I see you're on the line. Do you have anything you would like to add?
I know I'm not part of this committee, but I would like to have my name added to that. Is that?
Okay, we can do that. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay, I'm trying to see if I got and no other alder people that I see. Okay. If we don't have any other alder people here, then Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, you are free to wrap up your presentation of Board Bill 126.
Thank you, Chairwoman Tyus. And with that, I renew my motion and ask for favorable consideration and due pass recommendation for Board Bill 126.
Thank you. I entertain a motion to pass our Board Bill 126 with a due pass recommendation. And we also have a motion that it be in bank with the committee.
Second.
Also, we want to add Alderwoman Evans' name to it. So if there's been a motion by Alderman Vaccaro, second by Alderman Bosley.
And I'll state
Previous row.
previous role. Should I state the motion again? Or
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
just that we pass it out not only with the due pass recommendation, but we pass it out in bank, which means we all put our name on it and we include Alderwoman Evans.
Okay.
That was the motion.
Right. Previous roll.
Yeah.
Previous row.
Previous row.
Any objection to previous roll? Okay, we have a motion and a call for previous roll. No objection to previous roll. We have passed out Board Bill 126 and banked it with the committee with the addition of also Alderwoman Evans. Thank you so much. Appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Okay. The next board bill we have is Board Bill 170, introduced by Alderwoman Shameem Clark Hubbard. Madam Clerk, would you read the introduction?
Board Bill 170, introduced by Alderwoman Shameem Clark Hubbard. The overall purpose of this bill is conditionally vacate the following unimproved alley, the southern feet of the 20-foot wide north-south alley, also known as Cabinet Way in City Block 4547, as bounded by Clemens, Clara, Enright, and Goodfellow. The petitioner is Darlene Green. The vacated area will be used to consolidate property to improve safety and security.
Okay, Alderwoman Hubbard, free to present your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Board Bill 170 is the simple street vacation. And I'm asking for favorable consideration and due pass recommendation on Board Bill 170.
Okay. All right, starting with the Vice Chair, Alderman Bosley. Do you have any questions or concerns?
No, ma'am. No questions or concerns.
Alderman Boyd. Alderman Boyd. Alderman Vaccaro.
No questions or concerns.
Alderwoman Boyd.
No questions, no concerns.
Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Thank you. I am trying to open up the drive to look at this bill. I didn't get a chance to look at it before now. I'm just wondering, what is the vacation for, if I can ask a question?
Sure. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Yes, so simply put, street vacations are asked by petitioners. And so this piece of property land adjacent to her property, her house that she lives. Now, I like to brag that I am Comptroller Darlene Green's auto lady. So that's why we are here for Board Bill 170. So it's a piece of land that she wants to now have in contiguous with her land that she already owns.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know who was for, what it was for, but that sounds great. And I appreciate that. And I was supporting this. Thank you.
And if you can't find it in the drive, because in the drive, there's an actual map, of it.
Right. Okay. And I just want to say, I know where the comptroller lives, and so I have it in my mind. So it was not a question for me. And I know where she abuts up against what property and where her alley and things is. So I am supportive of this, and I know why she's doing it. And so I have no questions or concerns. If there are no further questions or concerns, I'd entertain a motion that Board Bill 170 be passed out with a due pass recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Previous roll?
Previous roll.
Previous roll.
Okay, we have a motion and a second that Board Bill 170 be passed out with a due pass recommendation. We have a call for previous roll. Any objections for previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 170 is passed out with a due pass recommendation. Okay, thank you, Alderwoman Clark, Hubbard. So you did really well today. You're 2 for 2, okay? All righty, is there anything else that we need to bring before the Streets Committee? Because if not, I'm going to do a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I do want to say something just
Okay.
real quick, just to put this out here. Biden administration released a statement, and this is a part of, I believe streets and public safety, but they released a statement on giving out crack pipes and setting up these centers where they're going to be giving out paraphernalia for illegal drug usage. I just want to say as a board, these are things we need to have some discussion about. There are some folks who may agree with it. Some people who do not. I think as the federal government rolls out things like this, maybe this summer, maybe before this summer, as we already know, we've seen an increase in addicts over the last year and a half during the coronavirus. You said increase in people out there on these corners. I'm concerned that if we don't have conversations about these type of things where the federal government isn't looking to negotiate with us in any type of way, we need to figure out collectively as a board how we will kind of address that issue as it comes down the pipeline. And whether it is that's something that we'll condemn, if we want to set up sites, however it is we want to handle it, but that is something that plagues these communities that we live in on a regular basis. And as that's being something that's talked about in the federal government, and money being spent to help people carefully do drugs, we need to start being a part of that discussion, especially with us being number one in homicide. With more drug usage comes an influence in individuals that'll be supplying. And as we know in our city, we got a bunch of homicides and shootings based off of drugs that are statistically and analytically proven, and there's data there for that. So, just with that being said, I just wanted to put that on everybody's radar who has not had any conversation about it or does not know anything about it.
Alderman, I didn't see that. If you have something that you could forward to members of the committee or even just myself, I would like to see that, or I'll look it up. And was this release in connection with some kind of things where I can't even believe crack pipes. I know sometimes they do certain things because they're trying to get drug usage down. And so they have places where you can go get drugs legally to try to wean you off. But I just can't imagine. In fact, many of our conditional uses that we have, one of the things that we has a conditional use when these stores and stuff open is that they cannot sell that paraphernalia in our community. But if they're going to release it as free, the first things coming to my mind is then we need to go back and say, not only can you not sell it, you cannot give it away. So I need to see more of what that release was. So if you have more information, I'd appreciate if you would send it to me or the people who are here at this committee meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I forwarded it to you. It came out yesterday. And it's booming.
Okay.
Okay.
It was on the news, Alderman Bosley, didn't it have something about needles or something? They were showing needles also.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And that was during the time where they talked about, like Alderwoman Ties was saying, Chairman Ties was saying, when they gave out needles at some point in time ago, and still do at these places where they have, safe places where folks can do drugs. But crack pipes.
Right. And I think, Alderwoman Ties, I think it stemmed from that fentanyl, those deaths. And so it's like to me, and it's just me speaking, to me, now it's an epidemic because it's putting them in the forefront. But we've been dealing with this epidemic, and I've been saying this for years. We've been dealing with this in our community for years, but now all of a sudden it's a big epidemic. So now they're trying to put a Band-Aid on things, and that's what I see that they're doing. They're putting a Band-Aid on it, but it's not going to fix it. They're not addressing the problem for what it is.
So does anybody, and I'm just putting this out here, since we're having a discussion, how does crack pipe and giving out crack pipes have anything to do with the trying to stop fentanyl? I don't take aspirin hardly, so I am really missing something. How do they connect? Is there somebody that has more information?
Well, they were saying that the fentanyl was put into the, it's actually being put in even marijuana, is what they were saying. I don't know. I don't agree with everything that goes on. I don't think that, I'm one that believes we need to have more enforcement and stop these drugs from coming in. That was the largest fentanyl bust here, at least in the city, well, out in the county, but I think they need to get serious on stopping this stuff from coming in. I don't know. I agree. I don't know that giving people crack pipes and I understood the needles, especially with AIDS and everything, that, you want to stop people from reusing needles. So you made them available. But they're talking about, if I remember the story right, they're talking about making hallucinogenic type drugs legal also, that they're supposed to be good for your mental
shrooms,
magic mushrooms and whatnot. People say it's the new cure for whatever, and I think I did most of that stuff, and I don't think I was cured from anything. So.
I saw Alderwoman Schweitzer. Do you have more information?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm kind of trying to figure out where people are coming from, and it sounds like there was a KSDK article or story last night about different a different type of treatment for people who are addicted to certain things and needing to reverse the effect of overdoses. So it sounds like there was a story about that on KSDK and different organizations that give out that sort of treatment to address it and wean people off these drugs. And then what Alderman Bosley had seen was something on a different channel about the Biden administration working to, in the same way, clean needles and needle exchanges exist in order to kind of make drug ingestion as safe as it can be. Is that a fair way of saying it? Where they're giving out crack pipes, but this is a $30 million grant program for nonprofits and looks like it's overseen by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. So I'm not seeing anything in the article about it necessarily happening in St. Louis at this time, but I do see that there's kind of a disconnect there with different stories that are happening. And I think Alderman Bosley put that in the chat as well, so people can read about it.
Thank you. Well, if it takes as long as my test kit, my free test kit, it won't be anything that happens really fast. Because the first day that they put that out there, I put in for my test kit, and me and my neighbors and I have not seen those free kits. So we're still looking.
I got mine.
You got yours?
I did.
Borrow one.
Okay, you guys are in the right zip codes then.
Yeah, well, you know what? It is about, if you quiet as kept, it is about zip codes.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, they're looking for a certain amount of this. We're big digging there, but yeah, it is zip code based.
Okay, did anybody else get theirs except for these two young people at the end? So maybe it's age discrimination. See, there you go.
I was gonna say the old people didn't get theirs.
Okay, so we're looking at an age discrimination lawsuit. Okay.
I bought mine from Dearburg. Dearburg sells them, so I bought it from Dearburg.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for that conversation. Now, this is the part of being at the board, I guess. I think that we need to get on Zoom and just maybe have some conversations with the community if we're not going to meet, because this is the kind of thing that if maybe we can meet and just say we're having a Board of Alderman meeting and let the community come in and just talk about what they want to. That might be something that fulfill this, because I think this is informative for not only us, but anybody that's watching this or will come back and watch this later. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'm going to move to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
All right. All right.
Hi.
Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.